Now for wrath, now for ruin, and a red dawn!
Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of digital fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn. Today's deck is pretty awesome. It's my favorite deck right now. It's called All Will Be One, and you probably guessed it, it centers around All Will Be One, but it's a hybrid utilizing battles and oil counters in the same deck, and it just goes way over the top, controls the board, and gets insane value in the mid to late game. Before we get to the deck, make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. We're pushing for 2,000 subscribers, and we're getting close. We're getting a ton of new subs, and just really every single like and every sub's going to help our channel get to that point where we can keep putting out content daily and make my life easier. So I appreciate it greatly. Thank you so much for your help. Also, I'm live streaming on Twitch Monday through Friday. That's twitch.tv/quarantinedcapricorn. And we've got a launch day event for March of the Machine, the Aftermath, happening on Thursday. So be there for that, because if I'm alive and I'm breathing, I'm there and I'm streaming. Now let's check out the deck. So the core idea of this deck is to sort of hybridize my idea for a battle control deck that I had from early access, which I will link that deck up above, and then sort of combine it with some of the oil counter decks that I was building last season, decks like Black Gold, which I will also link that one up above, and sort of taking those two different concepts and hybridizing. The similarities, the crossovers between the two, is that both are utilizing a lot of counters, and every single card in this entire deck has a number of counters associated with it, with the exception of one, which is the most notable, and that is obviously All Will Be One. This is 2 red and 3 for an enchantment. Whenever we put one or more counters on any permanent or player, All Will Be One deals that much damage to target opponent, creature an opponent controls, or planeswalker an opponent controls. So this is really cool. Every single card in this deck is going to trigger All Will Be One. So the idea here is we're playing control, we're controlling the board, we're taking out everything our opponent does with calculated targeted removal and or sweepers depending on the scenario. And then once we can get an All Will Be One into play, every single card in our deck just automatically becomes a win condition in addition to whatever else it was doing. So let's start with the bottom of the curve here. We have one Shivan Devastator, 1 red and X, comes into play with flying, haste, and X+1/+1 counters on it. This is good for multiple reasons. Obviously, this is going to put a bunch of counters on the Devastator and trigger All Will Be One whenever we cast it, which is awesome. Getting a big, hasty flyer and basically a fireball for the same cost is pretty gnarly. But the fact that it has flying and haste means it's very easy to slam this when our opponent doesn't see it coming and immediately swing at a battle and complete the battle and flip it, which is really important. But another use we have for Devastator is we have 2 Invasion of Tarkir, which for 2 mana is a battle siege that comes down with 5 defense counters, deals 2 damage to anything we want, or we can reveal dragons from our hand in order to add to that damage. So a little bit of extra value with Invasion of Tarkir if we happen to have the Devastator in our hand. The Tarkir can actually do 3 damage when we play it for 2 mana. And then this is just a 5 defense counter battle that sits on the field, and whenever we can complete it, we can flip it into Defiant Thundermaw, which is a 4/4 flying trample, and whenever a dragon we control attacks, it deals 2 damage to any target. That 2 damage can also be done to other battles to help complete them, which is really important to note. And also, we can trigger that 2 damage with a Shivan Devastator itself if we have a Devastator on the field, as well as a flipped Tarkir into the Thundermaw. So a lot of value we can gain there. Our other choice piece of removal in the 2-drop slot is Invasion of Azgol. 2 mana in Rakdos, 4 defense counters. When it enters, they have to sacrifice a creature or a planeswalker, and they lose a life. And then we flip this, we get to play Ashen Reaper for free, which is a 2/1 menace, and at the beginning of your end step, you put a +1/+1 counter on the Reaper if a permanent was put into the graveyard from the battlefield this turn. Because of All Will Be One, it's very easy to use our permanents to destroy things because of the counters going on them, which means this is going to get an additional counter when it's the Reaper, and then it's going to do an additional damage with All Will Be One when it gets the +1/+1 counter. So there's just a ton of synergy baked in, but even just as choice removal, it's really important to play this on 2. And it's also worth noting that if we have an All Will Be One out, this just does 4 damage to anything when we play it for only 2 mana, as well as the ability of the battle. Same thing with Tarkir, does 5 damage for just 2 mana to anything if All Will Be One's in play. Very, very important. We've also got 4 Invasion of Ergamon. At first, I was very hesitant about adding green into this deck because this is the only card we use, but I think Ergamon is just way too good. Not only do we get to rummage when we play it, to dig into maybe get lands to make sure we curve out, or to find that key card we're trying to look for, or at least get a turn closer to it, we also get to make a treasure token, which ramps us, but also fixes us, which is also important. And then, again, this is a 5 defense counter battle that if we have All Will Be One in play, it's going to do 5 damage to anything for only 2 mana. But if we flip it, we get a Truga Cliff Charger, which is another permanent that puts pressure on the field. Our opponent has to deal with it. And when it enters the battlefield, we get to discard a card and then search our library for a land or a battle. Sometimes we're going to grab a land when we really need that land drop to play a key card, but most of the time we're going to fetch a battle. And being able to search up any battle we need consistently is amazing in this deck because there's so many battles, and there are a few that we just have like 1 or 2 of, specifically because we're thinking about in key scenarios against certain decks and certain archetypes, we can search them out if we need them and not have to really rely on drawing the card. So 4 Invasion of Ergamon is pretty key. We've also got 4 Tablet of Completion, and this is where things get kind of interesting. 2 mana artifact, tap to put an oil counter on it, tap it for a colorless mana if it has 2 or more oil counters on it, pay 1 and tap it to draw a card if it has 5 or more oil counters on it. So what's important about this card is, sure, while it's on the battlefield, we can tap it to put an oil counter on it and then ping something for 1 if we have All Will Be One in play. But what's also important to note is if we play this on curve on 2, when turn 4 hits, this has 2 counters on it, and now we can tap it for a mana, which means we can actually play our All Will Be One on turn 4, and a lot of times getting this out an entire turn early makes all the difference in the world. Sometimes if we have to wait until turn 5, our opponent's board state is just too problematic to kind of like take a turn off to play All Will Be One, but that's not necessarily the case on turn 4. So being able to play this on turn 4 is really, really key. And then just later in the game, if we're up against a control deck and this gets to the 5 counters, we can draw a card every turn. Personally, I think this is better than Bankbuster in this deck. Some people would probably disagree, but I think being able to draw cards forever once a turn instead of just a limited amount of times and having to pay half the mana to do so is way better. And we don't need to start drawing cards early usually, so not being able to activate this until it has 5 oil counters isn't really that big of a drawback in this deck, because we're going to be too busy dealing with the opponent's board state to really worry about drawing cards while we're curving out most of the time. But yeah, being able to ramp and trigger All Will Be One and draw us cards for really cheap without any limitations later in the game is just super good, and I think this card is the real deal in this deck. To go alongside that, we have 2 Filigree Sylex, because it comes down for 2 mana and it's in the same position where if we have an All Will Be One, it can add counters to itself to just ping. But when it gets to 10 counters, we can also tap, remove 10, and that can be from among all of our permanents, including the Tablet of Completion and a couple other things we'll get to later, to just do 10 damage to anything. So a lot of times we can just top deck this later in the game and just kill our opponent outright because we have things on the battlefield with enough oil counters to just do it. But the most underutilized and overlooked part of this card is it can come down on 2 and really give the opponent a lot of problems as far as forcing them to have to play around it. If we come and bring this down on curve onto, we can put an oil counter on it at the end of their turn, and then we're in a situation where they can't really play 1-drops on their next turn, or we sweep the board for 1-drops, but they're really hesitant to play 2-drops because we can just add a counter and then on our turn sweep the board for 2-drops. So now they get into this weird game state where they're trying to play around the Filigree Sylex, and they're not putting as much pressure on the board as they otherwise would, because they're trying to figure out how to lose the least amount of value to the Sylex when it goes off. And so even just that threat of activation and forcing them to sort of not put as much pressure on the board and have to like work around it and play awkward cards that they otherwise wouldn't, to have different mana values on the field, sometimes is enough. And then in addition to that, just being able to even just kill one thing for no mana cost at some point while we're curving out, in addition to that pressure and putting them in that difficult situation, is really, really good. So even early, this just works to control our opponent like super well and drag the game out just long enough to get to where we want to get to. In the 3-drop slot is where things start to get a little crazy. We have 2 Urabrasks Forge. This is our other card that we use to build up oil counters. Put an oil counter on it every turn at the beginning of combat, which will trigger all will be 1 for a point of damage. And then we make an X1 red Phyrexian horror creature token with trample and haste. Why is this good? Because every turn we make a new token, that token gets bigger. It doesn't matter if we sweep the field, we're not losing our creature because we keep our forge, we just keep making the creature. So it's almost like this giant threat that accumulates over time that we never have to worry about killing ourselves with our sweeper, which means we can double down on the control aspects of the deck. But what's also important about the forge is because it can just keep swinging in every turn and it has that trample, it's very easy to use the forge to just auto-complete battles every turn. Once we get this thing to 3, 4, 5 counters, it's just swinging in and completing a battle every turn unless they throw something in front of it, and then at that point they're losing value because their creatures are dying. You're not losing anything because you're making a new creature every turn. It doesn't matter if it dies. And sometimes you're even getting through for trample damage, whether that's to the dome or to put some more damage on a battle to flip it later on down the line. And then you've also got all of those oil counters accumulating, so they're triggering all will be 1, and they're adding to how many oil counters you have for Filigree Sylex later in the game. It's absolutely insane. I think more than 2 would be a mistake because you don't ever want multiples of these clogging up your hand when maybe it could have just been 1 forge and a piece of removal, and maybe that piece of removal was really key to like actually deal with your opponent's board state and get to a later game where the forge is going to be relevant. So we don't want to fill up our hand. We don't want to risk really filling up our hand with forges. So I think 2 is just the right number. But how are we completing all of these battles other than the forge? Because the forge takes a little bit of time if that's the only thing. We've got 4 Render Inerts. So for 3 mana, we remove up to 5 counters from any permanent, and we draw a card. This is huge because it auto-completes every battle in the deck while also drawing us a card, so it's immediate card advantage. And a lot of times the thing that we're getting from the battle is worth way more than 3 mana, so this is super efficient and super valuable. But then we also have the upside of being able to kill planeswalkers with this, certain creatures that are only the size of however many oil counters they have out on them, or however many +1/+1 counters they have on them, we can kill outright with this. And then sometimes if we're really desperate, we can just remove +1/+1 counters or whatever kind of counters we need to from a creature to get us to where we need to be. But usually we're completing battles with this, we're drawing cards, we're getting card advantage, and we're just controlling the board and just putting a ton on the field. Another way we're doing that is with Invasion of Regatha. This can come down as a 5 defense counter battle and immediately deals 4 damage to a battle or an opponent, and then 1 damage to up to 1 target creature. So a lot of times we can use that 4 damage to complete a 4 defense counter battle, and sometimes we can pick off a little creature with it as well. But there's ways to make that damage way more relevant later in the game. When this flips, if we defeat this battle, it turns into Disciples of the Inferno. And that makes it so we have a 4/4 prowess creature, and then if a non-creature source you control would deal damage to a creature, battle, or opponent, it deals that much damage +2 instead. So now, if we have Disciples of the Inferno, any future Invasion of Regathas that we play are going to do 6 damage to the opponent or to a battle, and 3 damage to any creature. And that is super relevant. Not only that, but once Disciples of the Inferno is in play and flipped, All Will Be One is doing an extra 2 points of damage every time it triggers. So now we go back and we look at these things that can trigger it for one point of damage at a time, like Filigree Sylex adding a counter to itself, Tablet adding a counter to itself, the Forge going up a counter. All of those things now, instead of pinging for 1 when they get a counter put on them, now they're pinging for 3. We get free lightning bolts at whatever we want, whether it's the dome or a creature or whatever. The only real downside is All Will Be One cannot target battles, but there's so many ways to complete battles in this deck, it's not really that bad. So being able to flip this into Disciples of the Inferno just lets the deck go way over the top, and a lot of times we can close out the game in one turn, kind of out of nowhere, and our opponent just doesn't see it coming. We flip a Disciples of the Inferno, next turn we play a bunch of battles, while All Will Be One and Disciples of the Inferno is in play, and we just do like 20 to the head. It can get really, really gross. Moving on to the 4-drop slot, we have 3 Invasion of Karsus. This is 4 mana for a 4 defense counter battle, does 3 damage to the field. And again, if we have a Disciples of the Inferno out, it will do 5 instead. That will kill some of our creatures, so we don't always want to be in that situation. But usually we're sweeping before we get that flipped. We're taking care of aggro with this card. But then what's really good about Karsus is if we complete it and flip it to Refraction Elemental, now it's a 4/4 that has Ward Pay 2 life. And whenever we cast any spell at all, Refraction Elemental deals 2 damage to each opponent. So that's really good because we have a ton of battles, which means if we cast a spell that transforms our battle or is able to flip our battle by defeating it, we get 2 damage off that spell. Then we flip the battle, we get to play the backside of the battle for free, and that counts as playing a spell even though we didn't have to spend any mana, and we get another 2 damage, and it gets kind of insane. So between Refraction Elemental and Disciples of the Inferno, we have 2 completely different ways to just go way over the top with damage. We've also got 1 Invasion of Kaldheim. We can search this out with our Ergamon, and that's actually worth noting. The reason we have like only 3 Regathas, only 3 Karsus, is because if we really need them, we can search them up with the Cliff Charger after we flip the Ergamon. So if we're desperate to sweep, we can find Karsus, you know, or if we just need to close out the game or flip a battle, we can find Invasion of Regatha. So even though we only have 3 Invasion of Karsus, it's not really 3 as far as how consistently we can play it, which is really, really nice. But this 1 Invasion of Kaldheim kind of works the same way. It's a way where if we really are running out of gas and we just need to refill our hand, we can search it up with an Ergamon, and we can kind of generate a ton of value by exiling the rest of our hand, drawing that many cards, and then being able to play everything we exile. But if we flip this into Pyre of the World Tree, now it becomes an enchantment where we can discard our land cards, so our land cards are no longer dead, to do 2 damage to any target. And then whenever we do that, we get to exile the top card of our library, and we can play it this turn. So every time Pyre of the World Tree deals 2 damage to something because we discard a land card, if we have Disciples of the Inferno out, it's 4. And then every time we play the exiled card we get from discarding a land, if we have Refraction Elemental out, they're going to take another 2 points of damage. So there's just so many ways that things sort of combo off of each other. So every single card in the deck other than lands triggers our All Will Be One. And then if we have the Kaldheim flipped, every single land can be discarded to shock and then get another card to play. So if we get both of those online, our entire deck is just win cons. The entire deck is either just win cons or ways to kill whatever threats we need to, every single card. And it's absolutely insane. At the top end, we have 2 Invasion of Fiora. This is really good to sweep the board if we're desperate, especially if we're up with creatures that are difficult to deal with damage, like Phyrexian Obliterator, things like that. A lot of times we try to take them out early with Invasion of Azgol. But if we absolutely need to, we can play this on 6. We can destroy all their creatures. And then if we flip this, we get Marchesa, Resolute Monarch, which is legendary, and that's part of the reason we're only running 2 Invasion of Fiora. But this is a 3/6 Menace Death Touch. When it attacks, it gets to remove all counters from any permanent, so it can auto-complete battles just by attacking. It can be attacking another battle so that you could potentially flip 2 from 1 attack, or it could be swinging at the head. But at the beginning of your upkeep, if you haven't been dealt damage since your last turn, you also draw a card and lose a life. So if we are controlling the opponent's board appropriately like we should be, they shouldn't be getting through for damage, and we should be drawing extra cards off this as well. It just does so much with just 1 card. So we have 2 of these at the top end. And then to round out the deck, we've got this one lonely Monumental Facade, because if we happen to have All Will Be One in play and we play the Facade, it's just a shock that's free, because it comes into play with 2 oil counters. And then we can take the oil counter off and put it on something else, and when we do that, we get to ping. And then that something else can use the oil counter appropriately. So there's a ton of value we can get, but we really, really need our mana to make sure we can consistently play either Ergamon on 2 or Azgol on 2, both of which don't use colorless mana. So it's super important that most of our deck is just colored mana sources, as many dual lands as possible, while still being careful to make sure we have enough lands that can come into play untapped on turn 2 that we're able to curve out effectively. So just the one Monumental Facade, I think, is fine. I would love to include more, but I just don't think it's reasonable when Invasion of Azgol and Ergamon are just so crucial to the deck. We've got 4 Ziatora's Proving Ground, 2 Karplusan Forest, and 2 Copperline Gorge, 4 Llanowar Wastes. That way we have the green or the black on 2, no matter what our tapped land on 1 is, to make sure we can either cast Ergamon or Azgol, as long as we have a red source, of which there's the most of in this deck. 3 Deathcap Glade, 4 Haunted Ridge, 2 Blackcleave Cliffs, 1 Boseiju, 1 Mountain. The mana base is very carefully constructed so that we have the most probability of being able to curve out while using the least amount of fast lands and a reasonable amount of pain lands. So that's the deck. It goes way over the top with value. It beats most everything. I think what I like about this deck the most is, even if we're up against a control build that's not running very many creatures, all of the creature removal in this deck is also a thing that puts pressure on the board. And that's usually what's missing in most control decks, is like all of your creature removal in typical control decks is just dead cards against a control style build that's not really using many creatures. But we don't have that problem here, because if we just need to play out an Invasion of Azgol so we can flip it into a creature, that's fine. That's still some value on the field. Every single card kind of does that. So the games were pretty crazy. I think we can continue to iterate on this idea in the coming weeks, and I'm excited to brew different versions of this. I'm not going to lie, I'm all in on battles, guys. It's been super fun, and being able to hybridize it with oil, which was my previous favorite deck, has just been really amazing. I love the deck. I'm going to stop rambling. Let's check out the games. All right, this looks good. We'll keep it. Start with the Rockfall Vale. Oh, orange has been filling up our custom cards section. I believe it. Alright, so he's going to get rid of our Tarkir, I assume. Actually, he probably gets rid of the tablet here. Tablet or All Will Be One. Is he worried about our top end, or is he worried about our next play? Ooh, he got rid of the Tarkir. It's a little weird. Like, tablet just does so much for us. Yeah, but when orange posts cards, Avalan, he's not expecting to have them all gone over right away. He's just had ideas he's excited about and wants to throw them in there. Alright, we'll put a counter on the tablet. what do we want to do here? We could play Devastator for 2. I think it's smarter to just bide our time. Next turn we can play All Will Be One. And then shit's just gonna get wild. Alright. Tablet's got a counter. I think it's still smart to just do this. Just get it out of the way. Ramping to All Will Be One on turn 4 with a Tablet of Completion just feels so good. So good. Draw, discard. Dude, we can do so much. So much. How do I want to do this? Start with this. Five. We'll discard Fiora. We're not going to need it. Then we will black, colorless, Render Inert. Cliff Charger. Discard the Haunted Ridge. Sure. Find ourselves some tasty. I think we want Invasion of Regatha. That's just 9 to the head. We'll put an oil counter on this and kill the werewolf. Good luck, Dead Musket. Yeah, there we go. This is really slow. This is better. Scoured Barrens. Haunted Ridge. Bankbuster. Wastes. Don't know if it's worth it. I think we just pass. My thought is just hit him in the dome with the Tarkir just to get the battle out. Alright, just gonna do that. We're gonna swing 1. Forge is really good in this deck because it creates an inevitability for all of our battles. Like, we just keep swinging at our battles, and unless he wants to keep losing creatures, like, eventually we're completing battles with the Forge. Alright, how do we want to do this? I think to get the most out of our mana, we'll do it like this. Do it like this. And then swing at Sorin. One more mana and we can cast All Will Be One. We can actually ping twice the turn that we cast it. Once when the Forge gets its counter, and once by upticking Liliana. So we could still kill a 2 toughness creature. Or a wedding announcement token. But we're not quite there yet. We're gonna do it like this. +1. Discard you. Everything else is just too good. I don't love it, but it gets Lily to a point where she can downtick again, which I think is important. The downtick will do the same thing as the Invasion of Azgol. We're probably just going to Render Inert, right? Although, we could all will be one next turn. We would need to top deck a mana, though. I guess hitting him for damage isn't really that important. So we'll take the chance. This allows us, if we top deck a land, we can play all will be one. We can swing at the Invasion of Tarkir again and flip it, while still getting the all will be one into play, even though we can't play the Render Inert. We can still get the Defiant Thundermaw. And then we can still get 2 triggers, potentially 3 if we need to. Resolve. We'll add a counter. This works. I would have rather have done it a different way, but I am not going to uptick that Render Inert. That is not happening. We'll just keep Lily where she's at. Thanks for hanging out, Avalan. I appreciate it. We'll end the turn. Alright, we're in a really good position now. Discarding the Render Inert to Lily would have been bad because the Render Inert is kind of worth multiple cards since it cantrips. Just gonna Rite of Oblivion that. Okay. Interesting. Oh my god. Sure. We'll get 2 triggers. And then we'll swing. Get a trigger from that. Hit for 4. End the turn. He might have a Wandering Emperor. But if so, we can downtick Lily and be fine. Like, this is just really strong. When we transfer a counter from the Facade to the tablet, we do 2 damage. When the tablet puts a counter on itself, we do 2 damage. When we swing with the Thundermaw, we do 2 damage. If we uptick Lily, we do 2 damage. Tolvada gets back Sorin. That's fine.
Blood righteous. You
Nice
fight for
3, 4. Oh, gonna swing at Tolvada. Interesting. Very interesting. Does create problems for us. Somewhat. Let me think. Let me think. We're going to start with this, kill the Sorin. Draw a card.
that I will not
A Tablet of Completion. That's actually pretty good. I don't want to do this. How do I want to do this? Alright. It's time to get crazy. It's time to get absolutely crazy.
Don't overthink things.
Discard a card, buddy. Smash for 4. Ping. Ping. And we will end the turn. We still got 2 pings available to us. He probably kills Lily, but at this point, with the tablets and the Thundermaw and double all will be 1, I don't think that matters. Like next turn we can do 2, 4, 6, 8. We could do 12 damage. Alright, that's a little bit less now. We can do 9. Alright, you Wandering Emperors. He's still in this game. I get it. But every single card that we draw is a win condition at this point. Oh god. That's the worst possible thing. With an empty hand. With even just 1 card, this is fine. So I guess what we do is we draw off the tablet. We go red, colorless, red, black, whatever. Kaldheim. Do 4 to this. Can't quite kill what we want to kill, can we? Well, we'll kill you.
I guess that's it.
That freaking lifelink, man. That lifelink is so annoying. We'll get there, though. Every single card we draw in our deck is insane win con value. Sorin, sure. +1. Interesting. Doesn't want to go to 2 because he doesn't want it to die. Do we just ping it anyway? No. I think we just gotta go for the throat. Ergamon! Ergamon! Alright, draw a card. Fucking Ergamon shenanigans, guys. Alright. Let's just kill him. Let's just kill him. How about that? Invasion of Regatha. We could do 5. Hold on, I need to do some math. We flip Kaldheim. That doesn't do anything for us this turn. 1, 2, 3. No, we can't quite kill, can we? We can't quite. So I think we gotta do it like this. Do it like this. And then we can go one more. And then we can go one more. No life for you. No life for you. None life. Stay where you are. Stay where you are. That is a good point, Finn. That might have been the way to go. But I think we can just kill him next turn. We need a little bit of luck. A little bit. But I think we can. Alright, that puts him at 10. Render Inert, okay. Alright, we win. I got this. Yep, we got it. Cakewalk. Cakewalk, baby. Azgol. Four. Sack and take 1. You go to 5. But it's more than 4, it's 6. Because of Disciples. It's insane. Disciples makes everything go up by 2 damage. So now, all of our tablets are lightning bolts. Instant speed, free lightning bolts. Goodbye. Alright, keep 7. We'll start with a Veil. Hello. We will tablet. Pass the turn. That's fine. We'll deal with you next turn. You can get your 2 damage in. You can get your 2 damage in. Or maybe I want to Forge. Because next turn I can just Karsus. Let's just do that. Just racing. We can Karsus and then we can follow up with Invasion of Azgol. That should be easy. Unless he just happens to not play another creature, in which case we'll Azgol this turn. +2/+1. You love to see it. Honestly. You love to see it. Swing at the Azgol. Next turn, we'll get to flip it. End the turn. Ooh. Trixie. Trixie little hobbitses. I want to do this. Two. Red, green, black, green. We're gonna want. Yeah, let's do it like that. Aw, he scooped. But we were gonna do all the things. I mean, I know you were at 2 mana, but you're mono red, so I don't feel bad about you having 2 mana. Black green, red green. We've got a tablet, we've got a Sylex, we've got a facade, we've got a forge. That's a really good hand. Not a battle hand, but still a very good oil hand. We have one of each of our oil cards. So we'll get the tablet down first, I think. We'll try to save the Boseiju, for now at least. Tap land on 2. Alright, this is looking really good. Swing. End the turn. Put a counter on the tablet at the end of his turn. And then next turn we can play All Will Be One. And ping something for 1. And swing for 2. Good old mana ramp. Gotta love it. We are online, boys and girls. Three, 4, 5. Just trying to think of how I want to do this. We'll do that. We'll do this. And then we'll swing and kill the harvester. Shieldred. 1, 2, 3. I can't kill Shieldred yet, so I'll have to draw. I mean, that's pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think we're gonna play Boseiju, but we'll go red, red, colorless, red, Karsus. 4 to your head, 3 to the Shieldred. And then we'll go put a counter on that. Do 1 of the Shieldred. Then we'll... Oh, he didn't let us do the thing. I'm playing my new favorite deck. Watch what this thing can do. It gets kind of crazy. Although having 2 Invasion of Fiora in our opening hand is not... It's not so hot. Not so hot. I'm really tempted to just Tarkir his face just to get the battle out. But I think that would be a mistake, so we're gonna pass. Alright, he's playing Esper. Must be Esper control. Well, at this point, I think we Regatha. Get rid of that life advantage. Put us in a position where we can potentially flip the Regatha later. Pass turn. Wandering Emperor. Sick.
We must protect the people.
Probably kill it with Tarkir. Why didn't he do that before attacking? How likely is it that he's holding up counter spells? Probably pretty likely, right? Let's kill the Wandering Emperor.
Till next time, then.
And pass the turn. Sylex is in play. No counterspells is weird. Another Emperor. Is he gonna make a dude?
Run away. You'll be safer.
Sure. We'll probably just Sylex to kill all of his dudes. To be honest. Go for it.
Show them how we greet our enemies.
Goodbye. Goodbye, tokens. I really want to get that all will be one in play. But I think he's holding up a counterspell. And that's unpleasant. Like, he's got to be holding up a counterspell, right? That's the deck he's playing. That's the deck he's playing. He would have counterspelled that, though. Losing another Emperor is no bueno.
See you later.
Wait, what? Just so he could draw a card? What a weird flex. We're gonna do this while we can. Get halfway to flipping the Azgol so that we can flip it next turn if he doesn't kill the Devastator. But if he does, there's a better chance we can slip in the All Will Be one. Maybe. Sunset Revelry. Sure. Alright, let's see if he's got an answer. Wow, nothing. Nothing to that either. Negate? Wow, nothing. Alright, I think he's gonna farewell. And then I'm gonna cry. He's gonna make me cry right now. But the cool thing about farewell is we keep our battles. Keeping our battles is really good. Does stink that we're stuck with a bunch of battles in our hand as well, though. I think we just get the Fiora out. Because one of the Fiora's abilities, if we get it flipped to Marchesa, is we'll draw a card every turn. And we can start coming back if we can draw a card every turn. Pass. Another one. Okay. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Alright, he's got two that can be unearthed, so he can mill us half and then mill us half again. Still not quite enough. If we can actually, like, get our game moving anytime soon. We really, really got to get that tablet to 5. Actually, we can't afford to draw, can we? So maybe we don't. So lucky. This is the only game I've played where we were just full on battles and had no way to enable them. I'm actually kind of impressed, to be honest, that that doesn't happen more. We have such a carefully calculated amount of everything. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I guess. I don't know why you did it that way. Why would you ever do it that way? Auto Tapper is so weird. Dude, what a dumb game. We actually legitimately had him defeated if we could just enable our battles. But we literally just drew multiples of every battle and nothing to enable them. It's the first time in like 20 plus games that that's happened. It's fine. We'll keep it. We've got removal if we're desperate. Ergamon if we're not. Frontliner. Well, we want to kill that with the Regatha. So, I think we Ergamon. And we'll dump a Wastes. Sure. Well, that's unfortunate. Now our Ergamon or our Regatha can't do what we wanted it to do. I guess we just have to slow him down, huh? Yeah, I know. Thalia, that actually probably beats us. Let's see. We could destroy the Azgol with the Regatha, but we wouldn't be able to kill anything else. I think we got a Lily. And if we're a little lucky, he'll get rid of the Veteran so that we can ping the Thalia with Regatha next turn. Nope. No dice. No dice. Sure. That's fine. We're slowing him down at least. What else does he got?
Sorry, I'm not interested in dying today.
Sky Strike Officer. Man, that Valiant Veteran. It's really annoying. Really, really annoying. We just gotta hope that he can't kill us or remove the All Will Be One. If he doesn't kill us this turn, he doesn't remove the All Will Be One. He's toast. He's just absolutely toast. All right. Here we go. Kill you. Discard you. Draw. Resolute reinforcements. Well, that was a mistake. Ping. Ashen Reaper. You should have waited for the trigger. What's up, Squirrel? Welcome to the stream. Should have waited for the trigger, man. Yeah, we got you. Alright, this looks good. We'll keep it. Start with a Proving Ground. I think we go Tablet. Turn 2 Tablet is the only way we can potentially get to turn 4. All will be 1. I think we want to Ergamon. The question is, do we play Ziatora's Proving Ground or another land? And that comes down to, are we going to be able to play another spell? The only other spell we'd want to play is Render Inert. And this isn't there yet, so we're just going to do this. And this. And discard you. And get all will be 1 and pass the turn. Seems sick to me. Glisso. Alright, so we're gonna have to play Invasion of Azgol for sure. Which means we can't play all will be 1. Not this turn. Excuse me. Do I want to Render Inert? I think so. Five defense counters. Flip the boy. I don't think we can make Kaldheim work. We'll just dump the Facade, actually. Find a Regatha. Because we're in that endgame phase now. Graveyard Trespasser. Just want to burn him down as much as possible. I know he'll gain back one of it, and he'll technically be winning the race. But I don't think it'll matter.
I am the nexus of all that is.
Alright, running Realm Breaker, sure. Does not untap the land, friend.
And fight.
Tail Swipe. Do I want to kill the Trespasser by tapping the tablet and discarding a card? Screw it. Let's do it. We're basically just casting a card for no mana to kill a Trespasser. That seems fine to me. Alright. I'll just kill him, I guess. Discard the Rockfall Veil to draw. Red. Colorless. Red. Regatha. Kill Ren and Realmbreaker. Flip you. Submit 0. You could have just gotten him really close to dead. But I think this is just better. Ashen Reaper gets a counter. We ping for 1. Another Ren and Realmbreaker. Hopefully you make the correct land. Oh, you're going to return something this time. I think you're dead this turn. Not necessarily. This has Menace. Kill the Evolved Sleeper. Oh my god. Look at all these Tablet of Completions. No, that's not where you... God damn you. I hate the auto tapper so much.
I am more powerful than you comprehend.
Hate the auto tapper so much. Ow. That's not good. Sack 4 permanents. Well, lucky for us, we have things we can sack. One, 2, 3. Four. Yeah, super greedy. Figures. It figures. Bro. The reason I wanted to keep this is because if we flip it, our tablet can tap to Lightning Bolt. Because everything does an extra 2 damage, every non-creature source. So our all will be 1, will do an extra 2 damage every time it triggers.
Share in my glory.
I could have been greedy. I would have been able to cast Invasion of Fiora if I kept all of my mana producers, but that's kind of tricky. We're at like full health, so I think we might be able to race. I don't know if we need to just go for the head. We might just need to go for the head. Care about that. I don't think I care about that. No, we just need to race. Okay. Flip our Regatha, get a blocker that we probably won't use to block. Because this just pumps up our damage like crazy. Tapping the tablet next turn, lightning bolts. If we get anything at all that can make counters, which everything in the deck can make counters, we just win. We just win. You could hit us for 9 if he wants to throw everything into the sleeper. But he's also going to lose a life and go to 5. I think we got him. Oh, why didn't... Ooh. Yeah, we got him. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. We're working hard to get to 2,000 subscribers now because we blew right past 1,000. So make sure you like and subscribe. Also, if you'd like more magic deck techs, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere over there. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.